Welcome to Eye on Africa. Coming up, Mozambique in mourning as investigators seek to establish what caused a petrol tanker to explode, killing dozens of people near the Malawi border. Elsewhere, the EU condemns Zimbabwe after security forces round up activists ahead of a planned protest. Africa's women footballers prepare to go head-to-head in Cameroon. We meet the host's combative captain. 3 days of national mourning have been declared in Mozambique in the wake of a road accident that ended in the deaths of 56 people. That after an overturned petrol tanker exploded near the border with Malawi on Thursday. Authorities seeking to establish if the blast was caused by locals seeking to siphon fuel from the vehicle. France Van Katz, Laurent Berstachet reports.
The deadly blast took place on Thursday in Mozambique's Tete province, near the Malawi border, as locals were siphoning fuel from a truck.
A lot of people came here to take the fuel, to steal it. But at that moment, the wind started to blow and the fire started to spread.
The government set up a commission on Friday to investigate the precise circumstances surrounding the explosion. Officials are trying to determine whether the truck drivers were ambushed or willingly stopped to sell fuel to local residents, an illegal but common practice in Mozambique, especially after a recent increase in the price of gas. The exact cause of the blast still remains unclear.
The fire may have been caused by the fuel banding process. Information is still scarce. There is also evidence that a smaller fire started inside the main tank, from which fuel was siphoned.
Staffing has been reinforced at the local hospital, which has been struggling to cope with the influx of wounded.
We still have a lot of cases in critical condition, including several children and 2 pregnant women.
Authorities said those burned beyond recognition will be buried in a mass grave. A 3-day period of national mourning is also set to start on Saturday.
In Zimbabwe, at least 6 people are reported to have been abducted and some of them beaten up ahead of planned protests in Harare. That was right, police flooded the streets of the capital after civil action groups called for anti-government demonstrations. It's not the first time this year security forces have been accused of intimidating protesters. We can hear now from some of those affected, including a leading organiser.
The security agents opened fire. I then was blindfolded and manhandled before being bundled into one of the trucks. They took me and the others were left behind. That's not going to deter and discourage me from fighting for a better Zimbabwe.
The EU's condemned the actions of veteran leader Robert Mugabe's government. Frustration at the country's economic collapse under his authoritarian rule has frequently spilled onto the streets this year, and the protesters are vowing to keep up the pressure.
What they've done is not going to intimidate us, and we're not going to be deterred from doing what we're doing. We are going ahead with our demonstration.
Like previously, we were cheated of our money and it disappeared. So I fear that as well the bond notes will not circulate internationally.
I just think it's unfair to the general public. They're just trying to force the people what they don't want.
Let's get some more African news in brief now. And in Somalia, voting underway in parliamentary elections after a series of delays. Security is tight across the country, which has experienced decades of violence. Delegates chosen by clans are casting their ballots for members of parliament who will go on to name a new president. That's scheduled for November the 30th. Moroccan King Mohammed VI presses on with his busy schedule. The COP22 climate summit wrapping up in Marrakesh today and declaring Africa the front line in the fight against global warming. The King taking that message on the road. First stop, Addis Ababa, the Ethiopian capital. After that, he'll be in the Madagascan capital, Antananarivo, for a summit of French-speaking nations that gets underway on November the 26th. South Africa, their pre-trial hearing of triple murder suspect Henry van Breda has been postponed until February. He's now expected to face trial in March. The 21-year-old stands accused of hacking parents Martin and Teresa and brother Rudy to death with an axe in their home on a luxury golf estate. His 17-year-old sister Marley, who survived an attack which shocked the nation but sustained serious brain injuries, is expected to testify against him. The former head of South Africa's anti-corruption watchdog has been named Forbes Africa Person of the Year. Thuli Madonsela was a public protector from 2009 until last month. She gained prominence amid various allegations against Jacob Zuma and his family, ruling that the president had unduly benefited from government money used to upgrade his home. To Uganda next, a country with one of the highest rates of teen pregnancy in the world, but now unique mobile health clinics are helping to drive down numbers, delivering safe sex advice and contraception in poor neighbourhoods.
Uganda has one of the highest rates of teen pregnancy in the world, but these tuk-tuks are helping to drive it down. The three-wheeled mobile health clinics can go where other vehicles can't, reaching deep into the slums of Kampala and Entebbe, where women have limited access to healthcare.
Oh, the point of using a tuk-tuk is it's easy to use in slum areas because there are some areas which are hard to reach with the vehicles. For example, if you entered into a slum, some vehicles can't reach, but with a tuk-tuk, it will penetrate and reach where the people are.
The initiative by sexual healthcare charity Marie Stopes International sees the tuk-tuks transform into private counselling areas, while the tents they transport become clinics, offering condoms, implants and the pill to women who would otherwise go without. The charity says teaching teens about safe sex is essential in a country where abortion is illegal unless the mother's life is at risk.
The young people are really sexually active, but parents, guardians are failing to appreciate and recognize that.
When Nantachia got pregnant at 15, she was kicked out of home.
When my dad found out that I was pregnant, she felt very bad because I was still in school and that the tuition was not very fine for him. So he was like, you can go.
She now works as a peer educator, talking to teenagers about the importance of practicing safe sex.
We're safe because we use the methods which makes us to be safe. We use the condoms.
The tuk-tuks visit around once a month, but counsellors ensure they can be contacted at any time in a bid to spread the message about contraception.
Finally, less than 48 hours to go before kick-off in women's football's African Cup of Nations. Cameroon playing host for the first time and hoping for glory on December the 3rd. We profile the Lionesses' combative captain.
A festive atmosphere in front of the hotel of the indomitable Lionesses, the name given to the Cameroonian female national football team. The team's pillar is Christine Mani, 32 years old, captain and veteran of this selection. She has been a footballer for more than 15 years.
I started playing while still very young. I would play as a hobby, I guess you could say. I spent time after school playing, but after a while I began really enjoying it.
Today, Mani is an example for her 21 teammates, nearly all professionals who are inspired by the evolution of their captain.
She's very intelligent on the field of play. Tactically, technically, she's also good, and she usually acts like a catalyzer in the team.
Like many in Cameroon, Mani grew up in a poor neighborhood of Yaoundé, where her mother still lives. Pictures of her first games hang on the walls in her mother's home, a source of pride.
I feel joy deep inside me. This is why I'm always in church. I thank God for having given me such a good child.
At their last test match a few days ago, Mani took the field as a captain looking for her first continental title. In a country where women's football has become a passion for men and an inspiration for many women who came to the stadium.
I'm absolutely certain that the indomitable Lionesses will go far in this competition.
For Mani, who abandoned her studies, her mantra remains rigor and hard work.
You have to be disciplined, and you must believe in everything you do, even when it's difficult. You must believe.
On the eve of her last international competition, the leader of the Lionesses hopes for sweet victory in just 3 weeks, bringing joy to her entire nation.
That's it for Eye on Africa. Do stay with us here on France 24.
نقاش فرانس 24 جدل الآن وحديث وتعليق من وفي كل مكان.
France 24, c'est une passerelle entre les cultures, c'est la diversité.
It's also a great way of sharing it and discussing it on social media.
We give a voice to women and girls, whoever they are, wherever they are.
هل تعرفون باريس؟ أحقاً تعرفونها؟ تابعوا France 24 لمعرفة المزيد.
Tout ce que vous avez toujours voulu savoir sur l'Europe, c'est sur notre chaîne.